Hello everybody, welcome to our first live stream rules review of the new year. My name is Jason. I have been newly promoted by staff to the role of producer in a theater or movie producer kind of sense. This is my wife, Caroline. Hi. It's been a while, we're rusty.
Are we?
On the live stream thing?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Hi.
My wife, Caroline, she is the co-producer for the game.
I'm Kevin.
Wait, hold on.
There,
There,
I gotta get up.
There we go.
We are resting. I'm Annie. Hello. I'm Lisa. Hi.
They call me Dr. Love.
Oh my God.
Wow. It's Chris. What's up, Cobra?
Lizzie.
I'm Stephanie. I'm the game liaison.
Hi, I'm Megan. We get biscuits.
Hey, Megan O'Very is live now in Britannia's Darker 3 Adventure. Look at that. Alright, so we got a lot of requests when we did our last poll about what you guys wanted to see for the live streams, and we realized we have a ton of new players. So we decided we were going to go back to the very, very beginning, and we're going to talk about the foundation upon which Britannis is founded. And that's what we refer to affectionately as our Rule Zero, otherwise known as, everybody say it once with me,
Don't be a dick!
Alright, so there's a reference here. Don't Be a Dick references a meme that was made by Will Wheaton, who played Wesley Crusher on Star Trek Next Generation, and is now kind of like a geek icon, geek spokesman kind of person. And he coined the term, and the meme stuck, and it fits really well with our philosophy of gaming. And I'm going to go through, a lot of this information is going to come word for word off of the pinned post on the Facebook group that you are actually watching this on. If you haven't actually read the post in a while, I encourage you to open it up and read along with us. Lizzie?
Hi, Lizzie.
Okay. Okay. She was mean mugging the room there for a second. She was like, wondering if something happened to the biscuits that she's making. I was about to be sad.
So it's important to say that we chose this meme because it's so easy to remember and because it so easily encompasses this basic idea, not because we expect people to be dicks.
Right. And in fact, spoiler alert, we may be adding a piece to Don't Be a Dick for the Chapter 2 rules, since you guys have done so amazingly for Chapter 1. Spoiler. All right.
Surprise!
Surprise! Alright, so, Rule 0 for Britannis is simple. Don't be a dick. We abbreviate this as DBAD, D-B-A-D, the acronym for the words involved. And you'll hear people say something like DBAD, or, hey, don't break DBAD, or something like that, and that's what they're referring to. It's not meant to be all-inclusive or comprehensive. It's meant to be a guide. And basically, if you have to ask yourself, is this being a dick? You're probably straying close enough to the line that whatever you're thinking about doing, you probably want to back off of. It's the foundation upon which we build our game culture. It's a deliberately vague term, and it's got a whole bunch of applications, but it's really also ironclad. It is something for which punitive measures can be cited. For example, you can receive a warning for violating DBAD, and other actions up to and including banning from the game. So it's something we take very, very seriously, both as staff and as a community as a whole. If you're new to the game, or if you're new to our community especially, you're going to find out that this is something that it's not just a staff is watching kind of thing. It's the culture with which the community is built, so everybody is playing by these rules voluntarily, and active or knowing violations of DBAD is something that players are most likely going to call you on first before it ever comes to staff's attention. So it serves as the simplest guideline to judge how you interact with the Britannis community, both staff and players, and it's important to remember too that it applies both in character and out of character. So there's several points on that Facebook post. I'm going to go through each of them, and we're going to kind of add in our pieces as we go as the staff members in the room. Number 1, treat others with respect. This applies in person, in all virtual and online communications, and at all other applicable means. Abuse, insults, or harassment of any kind will not be tolerated. Okay, that sounds pretty clear. It also includes times in which you are interacting with other Britannis players, even if you're not actively at a Britannis event. So when we go to our Lily's War invasion, DBAD applies there. If you're writing a personal email to somebody and it's game-related, also applies there. If you're out at the grocery store making a food run at an event, even though you're not physically at the event site, still applies there. And really, we hope that you would apply it in all areas of your life.
How does the line blur when you might be playing a character who, while not outright dickish, is gruff and mean, like Core?
That's a really good question, actually. For those of you who aren't aware, I play a kind of cranky dwarf character named Core, and
Kind of cranky. He's very cranky.
okay, yeah, he's kind of like Bobby Singer from Supernatural, if you're familiar with the reference. And I do my best when playing Core. I do my best when playing Core to make sure that the players I'm talking to gruffly as Core know at some other point during the event out of game that we are on good terms. So there's a couple particular characters, Gerard, who Core is particularly gruff to, but Luke, who plays Gerard, and I have spoken repeatedly out of game and speak basically before and after every event where Core and Gerard interact, that Jason expresses to Gerard, or to Luke, "You are my friend, I like you, we're really cool," and he expresses back to me that he is okay with that, and the two of our characters interact in that way, and it's cool. Communication is the key. I'm not going to act that way to a brand new character or player walking in off the street at their first event. Core may interact with them differently than some of the other characters, but I'm not going to be a dick in character or out to that person.
I play a character for the newest players called the Merlin, and if I am going to meet a brand new player as the Merlin for the first time, I always have some little moment with them out of game ahead of time who's like, I don't know what your perception of the Merlin is supposed to be, but please don't take anything personally that I say, because sometimes she's in a bad mood. Or something to that effect. And if it's by chance, somehow I don't get to have that moment, the players that have been in game for a long time, I will make sure to pull. I will tell Stephanie as our game liaison, oh my gosh, I didn't get to so-and-so before the Merlin met them. Or I'll pull somebody else who's on the player stewardship guild and say, hey, can you please touch base with this person and make sure that interaction we just had was okay if I can't get to them in a timely manner because I'm off doing other producery things.
Which is not to say it's okay to be a dick to somebody in character as long as you tell them, hey, I'm going to be a dick to you. That's not okay, because that's not consensual and that's not communication. So when Luke and I have those conversations, when we first had these conversations way back when Core first came on screen, I said to him, hey, this is a thing that might happen. Are you okay with that? And he replied back, yes, he was, and we kind of worked out how that would work. And it's kind of a gruff mentor-student kind of relationship. But we talked about it beforehand, and both of us were okay with it. And that's the point. Communication is key, and consent is key when it comes to those kinds of things. Anybody else got something? Going once? Going twice. Okay, cool. Don't steal fun. Britannis is designed to be an additive community rather than subtractive. Another way of saying this might be, your favorite saying is...
Oh, everybody does better when everybody does better.
There you go. Which means that if you are the only person in a scene who is having fun, you're doing it wrong. So even in a scene in which the spotlight is focused on one particular person, it is still a community that is interacting in that particular scene because there's NPCs involved, playing the monsters or the villains or whatever, and there's staff members who are involved, making sure that the scenes run correctly, etc., etc. We are always looking for ways to add fun to the experience, and we expect you to do the same both for yourself and others around you. And here's some specific examples. This means that the entire rule set is designed to be team-based. Under no circumstances is any character expected to do this on their own or to play on their own, neither are they. Neither will they be successful on their own. The rule set is designed for synergy between characters and for characters to work together to achieve common goals and succeed. It's really easy to get dead in Britannis if you go wandering off on your own.
Core.
I don't wander off on my own.
He does in groups.
Stephanie,
Yes, it-
I do.
This is why we have the house system. That's one of the reasons that Britannis has a group. Everybody has to swear to a house because we like our fun to be in groups so more people can take part in it. That's kind of what sets us apart from other systems which emphasize you yourself and doing what you want to do. That's okay to do what you want to do, but it's more fun if there's more people involved. Swear to a house. Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, you're gonna have more fun with other characters around you, and that also goes to staff is not going to invest resources, meaning our time and our planning and our energy investment into lone wolf or evil or villainous characters. As a staff, we have a finite amount of time, energy, and materials that we can devote to each individual event, and in terms of efficiency, it doesn't do us any good at all to invest in that one evil character, so don't do it.
Also, when looking at how to be additive to a scenario, if you imagine there's a bunch of characters sitting around the fire, it's the end of the night, and people are telling stories, if you're thinking about how do I add value to this moment, how do I make this an additive moment, well, one way is maybe you have a story that you want to tell. But if Chris is in the middle of telling a story, I am stealing fun if I start talking over him and try to tell my story over him, or start telling my story to Jason and take focus away from his story. How can I be additive? I can cheer for his story. I can ask questions. I can try to add more color, or I can be invested in him, or I can go, oh, when you are done, wait till you hear what I've got to say for you. And then I keep pulling his story out, and then I've let the world know that I have a story to tell too, which is additive to this moment because it's no fun if nobody talks. But just looking at any given scene that you're in and think, how can I add value, both by bringing my voice to it, but also helping other people's voice be amplified? Mm-hmm. How can I add?
So don't be a dick means that information given out in-game is intended to be shared amongst the heroes in a timely fashion. Hoarding resources will result in less fun for everyone. Everybody wants to be that person who has the spotlight on them for little bits of time. That is not what we're talking about. What I am talking about is hoarding information like a squirrel for winter hoards nuts, and then never giving any of it out because you want to be the one with all the cool information. Again, we come back to the concept of staff resources, and when we put information out into game, it is intended to get to other people. So if you are the one who hoards it, and if you are the one who keeps it, you are actually keeping fun away from other players. I would encourage, even if you are just sharing that information amongst your house, it works just fine, because you're still sharing that with 7 or 8 other people, or more as the game grows. But it is important that you share that information. You asked those questions, you used your character's game resources, whether that be downtime hours for info skills or your very valuable in-game time to do research or go on a mod or whatever. You invested a great deal of time and effort in getting that information. So take the reward of being in the spotlight for sharing that information and getting to be the person who has the spotlight and the cool moment on them of, I am the person who knows this thing. Because then other people who have that information get to go tell that to other people, and then they get that cool moment to tell people who don't know the piece of information either. So you are sharing fun by letting other people have that moment of being the cool person for a bit, and you get that moment as well. If you hoard the information, nobody gets any of those moments. And in some ways, the game can come to a grinding halt. And in others, characters can die. And characters have died because of information that has not been passed out. So you're also harming the fun of other people if you're hoarding information too. Anything on that? Anybody else? Lisa.
One of the reasons why we may be sharing a storyline or information is to move the story forward. And if we don't move the story forward, then people not have fun. That's it.
She's absolutely right. We already talked about the whole evil villainous thing. I want to touch on the whole lone wolf thing for a second. By no means is Britannis, are we as staff or me as producer, it's so weird to use that title, saying that you can't play the kind of character you want to play. Unless you're planning on playing evil or villainous, in which case, just don't bring that to us. There's plenty of other games in our region. You're welcome to play that at somebody else's game.
Or come talk to us about playing an NPC. We've got plenty of creepy NPCs.
I can see Shauna's face lighting up from here.
It's true. We can see you from Oklahoma. All right. So I want to touch on the whole lone wolf thing for a second. There are numerous examples throughout fantasy literature of the lone wolf character. The character who doesn't need anything from anybody, and I'm going to have to come get one in a minute. That's Lizzie's butt you just saw. So the lone wolf archetypes are everywhere in fantasy literature, and they are primarily of two kinds. They are either the anti-hero, who doesn't play by the rules and doesn't need anybody, or they are the completely self-sufficient hero off on their own. Those stories have value, and those stories have merit, and most of them are very well written. And none of those stories are really appropriate for Britannis. Our game is explicitly based on the Arthurian legends. For those of you who understand the Arthurian timeline, King Uther and Queen Igraine just got married like a month ago. No, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that. Like, King Uther and Igraine are newlyweds. That's where we are in the Arthurian timeline. In all of our source material, the Knights of the Round Table and the heroes who are associated with these stories all go out and do their adventures, but then they come back to their community. They are all part of a unified community who needs each other in order to survive in the world in which they live. And that is what we are emphasizing. On numerous occasions, small groups of heroes have gone out to do very important and incredible things. And then they come back as a team to rejoin their house and the community of heroes in which they exist. And those kind of lone wolf stories are completely appropriate because it's a pack of wolves going out to do a thing. That's the kind of lone wolf story that is completely appropriate in Britannis. But the one dude sitting off in the woods for a whole weekend because he's the lone wolf who doesn't need anyone and has his cloak up over his face so no one can see him, you're just not going to have fun. You're just not. So don't do it. Okay, I'm going to move on to number 3 here. It says, play by the spirit or intent of the rules. Don't loophole or game the system to the detriment of other players or the game as a whole. Thus far, in nearly 5 years of play, we haven't really come across any I win builds or things that completely break the game, which is fantastic. On the other hand, there have been instances of players who have messaged me or other staff members and said, hey, there's this thing, it looks like I can do this, is this a thing that I can do, is this by the spirit or the intent of the rules? And that is totally appropriate, and that's what we would like if you run into a situation like that. But deliberately trying to take advantage of the game mechanics of the system is taking fun away from everyone else who's playing, player, character, and NPC, regardless of what the situation is. If you are abusing the rules to your own benefit, by definition, other people are paying the price for you taking fun away from them, and we ask you not to do that. If you have a question about the rules, everybody on staff is completely open to your questions, regardless of what that version of the question is. We are all really good at funneling your questions to the right person, regardless of who that might need to be.
We also typically see that when there's a person who's really intent, and I'm not talking about maximizing skills or like what's my best way of spending my points so that that's everybody's looking to build the kind of character that they want to play. But when people are particularly looking to quote win by having the biggest, baddest, winningest. The win part is important. Typically, we see those players not have as much fun because the game isn't built in a way that you win it in the way that you might think it is. And so the characters that try to build a character they can, quote, win with, ultimately don't win because that's not how the game works. And they end up dissatisfied and end up coming back to us and...
If for those of you who are familiar with MMO terminology, Britannis is an explicitly PvE game, player versus environment, kind of game. And it takes a group of people in order to succeed at our version of PvE. There is character versus character conflict rules and regulations that are listed on that same Facebook post in a link. We're not going to go into those right now, but our game works better when everyone is working together for whatever version of storyline they are running. We had our staff lock-in this past Sunday, and we started going through plot lines that each individual house is kind of dedicated to. We realized we're running like 7 different interconnected games in regards to the storylines and plot lines that are weaving in and out of each other for each of our houses, and that's completely fine. That's the way the game is designed. But one character or player actually who abuses or loopholes or games the rules for their own benefit is taking fun away from everyone else, and that's not the intent of the game. Britannis is open to anyone who can abide by DBAD. Britannis is a game product. Oh, I see where this is going. Okay. Britannis is a game product of the company known as Live Gaming Entertainment LLC. Live Action Gaming Entertainment LLC. Sorry. As such, it's our right to deny service of this product to anyone, at any time, for any reason, with or without warning. Violation of DBAD is the quickest way to this end. I think that's about all we need to say about that. And finally, violation of DBAD also includes violation of real-world laws. We will do everything in our power to insist law enforcement in prosecuting those who violate the law at our game. Period. Full stop. It is Caroline and I's job as producers of the game to ensure the physical and emotional safety of everyone at our game to the best of our ability. And that is our #1 priority when you are a player for our game. And the quickest way to violate DBAD is to violate real-world rules and place other players in danger. We're just not going to tolerate it. So, do we want to stop there? There's a whole there's a whole part 2 to this, or we can do part 2 next week and move on to that. Chris, do we have any questions or comments?
Negative.
Negative? Okay. I understand that this is a review for a lot of you who are watching
And who have talked to your lovely game liaison.
Exactly where I was about to go. So, if you are a new player watching this for the first time, understand this is recorded on February 6th? 7th?
8th?
February
7th.
2017.
2017.
Of 2017. This is the very beginning of our chapter ending season, and as it stands right now, we're really looking forward to anticipating a new season. If you're watching this afterwards and this is your first contact with Britannis, so Stephanie is our game liaison. And once you have read and understood the Don't Be a Dick posts on the Facebook page, she is your first stop. Her contact information is on our main website page. And it's also, she's also very active on our Facebook group, and she's very easy to get a hold of, and she's wonderfully personable, and that's why we chose her for this position.
Oh, thank you.
We have a question.
Sure.
It's from Michael Harris. What is the best path for a new player to gain information toward their house's plot line?
Their house's plot line.
Talk to me and I'll send you to the head of your house.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to say something a little different to that. You are better off deciding which house you want to play on via the information on the website, and then coming into play with that information and jumping into whatever plot line they are active in from that moment forward, and basically playing along with where they're headed, because that will be the thing that locks you into whatever they're doing. Just having an attitude of, I'm going to go do what they're doing, will get you a really, really long way, especially your first couple of events. especially this far into a chapter, the plot lines are rolling along like big stone wheels. So your best bet is to link up and learn about the plot and the characters in your house in particular, and use that as a way to get hooked into what's going on in the game so that you understand all the words and stuff that people are saying.
And if you are a brand new player and you've come to 1 or 2 events and you have chosen a house already, but you haven't either been to a full 3-day event or a longer event, we have a Facebook group, or at least chat, dedicated to every house in the game. And those are fairly active. It depends on which house. Some houses use them more than others. But most every one of those has the ability that you can chat in character or out of character, and it's accessible to just go say, "Hey, I'm a new player. What are we doing? Who's that guy?
Absolutely.
What you guys went off and did a what?"
The guideline for that is once you have attended one full event of any kind in character, you can be added to your group's Facebook page. So if you attend an interlude in character, you can be added to that group's Facebook page, but you must have attended an event in character before you can do so.
Right.
That's the only real guideline for that.
So if you need being added to a group, ping Stephanie, and we will make sure you get added.
Yep, absolutely. That was a really good question, Mike. Thanks. Anything else? That's it? Okay. I think we're going to stop there. We're going to continue on.
Ben had a.
I just wanted to emphasize, like, some people may have some, well, are laws really that important when it comes to some things? And we emphasize, like, particularly drug use and underage drinking are not to be tolerated.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, all of those real world laws fall under Don't Be a Dick very, very firmly. As well as things like don't steal, have respect for the property whatever property we're playing on, all those kinds of things that fall. The one?
Consent.
And consent, which is going to be active consent, which is going to be its own entire live stream. So, so thank you guys again. As always, if you have any questions after watching this, not at the time of recording, feel free to post them up in this thread, and we'll go ahead and make sure that they get answered by text by a staff member. Going once, going twice. Okay, thank you, Britannis. Have a good week. We'll see you next time. Bye.